Welcome back everyone, it's time to go balls deep! And guys, it has finally happened. It only took around nearly 10 years? Oh gosh dang. But come on, look, we got here. Luffy has finally knocked out Kaido. This fight is over! Not only is this fight finished, Kaido also gets slapped back into the time he was a little boy at the age of 10. Yes, we finally get Kaido's backstory, revealing all sorts of good shit. We're talking about a new kingdom, more oppression, evil government, Joy Boy, a sexy big mom, and most importantly, rocks the Xebec. Chapter 1049 starts with Kaido complimenting Luffy on how much he has grown in such a short time, which is true. I mean, he did go from being one-shotted by Kaido, initially not even fighting a long bloody battle as an equal. Although Luffy has come this far, Kaido shouts that there is no way he can change the world, standing by what he said in chapter 1014, where Kaido stated Luffy isn't Joy Boy either, who in his eyes would shift the world in a completely new direction. Later we even learned that Kaido understood Oden, much like his own right-hand man King was waiting for the coming of Joy Boy. However, Oden had planned to open the borders of Wano and knew the importance of his country in regards to this. So Kaido believed the person who Joy Boy is will be the one to defeat him. This reasoning was not only due to Kaido being an opposition to what Joy Boy stood for, but also due to Kaido being the gatekeeper of Wano. In chapter 1035 and 36, King's flashback revealed that Kaido, in freeing him along with declaring how he will change the world, gave King a notion that Kaido is Joy Boy. This was because the legends known to King about Joy Boy was that of a liberator to all people, which will shake the world to its core, much like the other prophecies we know of Joy Boy. I already explained how it makes sense for King, a Lunarian, to have been told this legend of Joy Boy and the sun god Nika through his family heritage. The Lunarians or Lunarians, whichever way you want to pronounce it, were the previous tenant to the Red Line, and they along with the other races must have been part of Joy Boy's mission to unify the world. However, Kaido was amused by this thought and never considered himself as this awaited person. Later down the line, it even seemed that King stopped caring if Kaido was Joy Boy or not, as he had already devoted himself. However, Oda in chapter 1049 reveals the bigger picture, where we finally see Kaido's flashback.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
That's right, after years of wondering what made Kaido into the strongest creature and possibly the worst father in the world, we go back, far back, 46 years ago, where just at 10 years old, Kaido was fighting in wars, killing others, where he was even seen as the strongest soldier. Despite this, Kaido believed he hadn't been in enough battles yet, having a deep lust and drive for combat. More interestingly, turns out he was a citizen of the Vodka Kingdom.
You serious?
Yeah, seems pretty ironic now, huh? Since Kaido is always drunk, but there is actually more to this. Remember when Kaido started drinking against Luffy and even claimed that he was stronger when drunk? This could be a secret fighting technique of the Vodka Kingdom people, hence the name. Okay fine, maybe I'm stretching a little bit, but come on, you can't deny that there could be some secret Rock Lee drunk taijutsu secret passed on to the warriors of the Vodka Kingdom. Okay. With that said though, Kaido does seem a bit different now, since he has, a sad drunk phase, and I doubt that was part of the secret technique I just mentioned. Let me explain. As you know, alcohol usually makes you more honest, since inebriation affects the cognitive functions in your brain. So in a sense, it shows your true self, which we see with Kaido. How? Well, Kaido seemed youthful and strived for power and battle, but now he just wants to die, where now his true Kaido's self is that of a sad and pathetic mess we see in his sad drunk phase, or even in his angry drunk phase. It's very apparent that there was a change that occurred in Kaido and his ideology. Kaido's mindset is fundamentally due to his upbringing. At an early age, he was participating in war, where within his kingdom, he was different. He is of the Oni race. The king, along with the citizens, was seen without a horn, which means if you follow the logic of shonen anime tropes, come on, it wouldn't be surprising if Kaido was the Naruto of his time. To find value within himself, he sought power and relied on winning in wars. He couldn't live his life being seen as something different, to be ostracized. So by becoming the strongest, it ultimately gave him respect and purpose. 3 years later, at the age of 13, Kaido is still participating in war. You might be thinking, what is up with this kingdom? Well, the people of Vodka explains that their country cannot afford to stop waging wars against others because they need the loot. Yes, these wars are all about money, but don't think too harshly because they are just products of society. Their country could barely pay the heavenly tribute to the celestial dragons. If you guys aren't aware how corrupt the world government is, well, let me explain. This heavenly tribute is basically a tax, where without it, the government will not see you as an actual kingdom. They won't help and the people will lose all their human rights, likely being forced to become slaves or just killed. And guess where this heavenly tribute goes to? You might be thinking Marines, right? To the development of society, right?
You're wrong.
Well, not exactly. It goes to the celestial dragons so they don't need to work a day in their life and so they can afford to buy slaves, along with participate in other unhumane things they desire. However, as Kaido grows as a teenager, he becomes woke and asks the important questions like, why are we obeying these celestial dragons? Why? This shows that even at an earlier time, Kaido was skeptical against the current world system. Sometime later, Kaido is seen chained up, where the king of Vodka tells Kaido he is being drafted as a soldier. Kaido is of course furious, not wanting to become a dog of the government, but the king says that Kaido is too much for them to handle. But we then find out the true intentions behind the king's actions, as he sold Kaido as a political bargaining chip in exchange for the Vodka kingdom to be granted permission to participate in the reverie. A quick note is that during the reverie, there is a kingdom called the Roshwan Kingdom, whose king is named Bear. It could be Roshwan is the same kingdom Kaido belonged to, giving us the impression Kaido was raised in a country akin to Russia. I'm just saying, now I doubt the Marines wanted Kaido as a member of their force. Much more likely, they wanted to experiment on him due to his race. Like, look at the size of this boy. He's thick! The Marines definitely were doing dodgy experiments on living beings like they did to King. Kaido's race is no exception. This moment in Kaido's life must have given him some next level trust issues, especially towards humans. Imagine the sadness you would feel if your own people, your own country whom you've been fighting for just betrayed you. Like, come on!
Now that's fucked up.
This abandonment definitely put a mental scar on Kaido. Being of the Oni race, he probably faced persecution, with his parents nowhere to be seen also. This moment of the very country he protected selling him out to the Marines must have proved to Kaido that he is truly alone, and in order to survive, he put on the mindset of survival of the fittest. We then cut to the Marine ship escorting Kaido, but then learn that he has just escaped and the government gave him a bounty of 70 million berry at just the age of 13. Later down the line, Kaido would then let himself get captured over and over again, only to escape right after. Now, what do you think his reason was for surrendering? Was it sadness from being sold by his country? Was it some dark moments we didn't see? Well, no. He just lets himself be taken into custody whenever he's hungry. Kaido treated the Marine prison ships as his personal buffet. But in all seriousness, his past actually explains that Kaido had a personal reason to go after the Celestial Dragons with the Rock's crew. Kaido continues to cause a ruckus, but one particular particular place was on Fuller Lead, Blackbeard's current island of habitation. It was here he was recruited by Rocks. This took place 44 years ago, where we see pirates shouting that he's too strong at the age of 15. This moment of recruitment would later go down in history because Rocks the Xebec would go on to form one of the strongest crew in the entire world. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Rocks. In fact, he didn't even go and recruit Kaido personally. It was a member of his crew, Whitebeard. Now I know we've seen Whitebeard in its prime multiple times. I can't help but getting hyped every time I see a young new game. Come on man, he's sexy.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whitebeard approaches Kaido and asks him if he ever wanted to become a pirate, and that Rocks wants to meet him. Something to note though is that how in the present Kaido has a similar recruitment method where he targets up and coming pirates or individuals. He did this with Apu, Hawkins and even Kid. So now we know why Kaido operates the way he does.
Sometime later, the world finds out that the broken Oni boy Kaido has joined the Rocks pirates, making them invincible. We then cut to a young Big Mom.
She's so fine, she done pissed me off!
Okay, you guys need to stop, alright? Law already went inside and laid his claim. Anyway, Big Mom tells Kaido that they're going to God Valley, and of course, we know how that ended. This happened 38 years ago, making Kaido the age of 21, meaning for 6 years, Kaido under the belt of Rocks, along with the other big shots, were learning and becoming stronger. We also know during this time, Big Mom gave Kaido his Devil Fruit. However, we see pirates reacting to the news of the Rocks pirates' defeat, shocked that a crew full of such monsters has been broken apart. Even at this point in time, the story was twisted, as they believed that Garp was the sole perpetrator in taking them down, when in fact he worked alongside Goldie Roger. But they do bring up an interesting point, that maybe an aspect of their crew losing was inner conflict. This makes sense considering the Rocks pirates were known for constantly fighting with each other, so maybe Roger and Garp didn't defeat them alone, and the story was twisted even more than we thought, with the government hiding it, making the legend of Garp bigger and giving the Marines more influence. After the crew broke up, Big Mom is asking around for Kaido, furious that he's left her. Big Mom did say that Kaido owed her, but perhaps it wasn't just because of the mythical zone Devil Fruit. It may have also been because of Kaido abandoning her after the crew broke up, explaining their anger towards each other in Wano. Big Mom might have wanted to team up with Kaido after, possibly even seeing Kaido as a little brother or even a prospective lover.
Oh my god, stop bro, I'm stuck. Can you help me?
Hey, come on guys. Big Mom's Grand Canyon, like Kaido is the only one who can fit inside there. Come on guys.
Step back, I think I'm gonna vomit!
At this point, Kaido seemed to still carry his aspirations for battle, but again now, with no crew to survive for food, he gave himself up to the Marines once again. We know this from chapter 1035, however, as always, when ready, he frees himself. During this time, he meets a captured king, saving him from the government, where he tells King he's starting a new crew. This version of Kaido seemed positive and filled with a dream to change the world. This is way similar to Roger, when he met his vice captain. Like Roger told Rayleigh he will turn the world upside down, King and Kaido's relationship is based much on loyalty. Even though King believed in the coming of Joy Boy, he continues to stay by Kaido's side even through the oppression he causes to others. This could likely be due to Kaido and King sharing a similar upbringing, being persecuted their whole life, where they have been left alone and only had themselves to fend for. However, there is a gap not explaining how Kaido actually turned out to be a tyrant, as even the captures by the government didn't seem to affect him. So what happened in between that caused his depression and low self-esteem? Well, we have a theory perhaps explaining it. The answer is of course Yamato's birth. Wait, not just her birth, but her mother. Kaido never mentions Yamato's mother in any of the flashbacks, perhaps to cover the emotional pain. When did she die? Like, Like, when did she die, you know? Well, just like Kaido, Yamato also never talks about her mother. It seems that she may have never even met her to begin with. Well, since Yamato never even talks about her mother, similar to Kaido, or even seems to know her, it must have happened very early in Yamato's life, or even in childbirth, mirroring Portgas D. Rouge dying in childbirth with Ace, and them both having fathers who are hated by the world, giving a deeper meaning behind Yamato's and Ace's relationship during that night. You know, he was keeping a war.
Yeah, boy.
Cutting closer to the present day once again, we go 10 years forward to when Kaido meets Kurozumi Higurashi. At this point, Yamato has obviously been born. Kurozumi explains it's been 10 years since the God Valley incident, making Kaido 31 years of age and Yamato literally just being born. At this point, like I said earlier, Yamato's mother is likely dead, simply because of how Kaido gets easily pushed into becoming a tyrant and influenced by the Kurozumi. Kurozumi states that now Kaido is the embodiment of brutality. She seems to share the same philosophy as Kaido, explaining that the brute force tramples all and humans are animals. It's survival of the fittest, that's how the world works. This could have been the beginning of Kaido being labeled as the strongest creature, not just a person. He's the strongest dude in the whole nature, you know. She says that the remnants of Rock's pirates will come to the surface and lead to the new world, ushering into a new era. We all know this era to be about the Yonkos and later Whitebeard in specific. Before this time, the concept of Yonko wasn't really a thing, it wasn't as cemented, so Kurozumi wasn't wrong. In light of this, she brings Kaido a proposition that he cannot refuse, which is to be in control of weapons and arms of the entire world. Because if they become the #1 arms dealers, then they can effectively control war. This saying by one of the biggest and most brutal dictators ever, Mao, kinda comes in true with Kaido, where he says all political power comes from the barrel of a gun. This is the literal definition of what Kaido becomes. Kaido stands in front of his men and states there are people who are born into nobility, people in power who take peace for granted. Let us drag them down onto the battlefield. That is what equality and freedom means. Only in war is a person's value defined. Around 8 years later, Kaido begins talking to King, saying that Yamato has brought up the name of Joy Boy, although not knowing where she even heard the name, but we as readers know that it's from Oden's journal. Kaido further states, opening the border of this nation is what Oden's wish was. Specifically, the wish was preparation for Joy Boy. Kaido tells King he knows who Joy Boy is, and King, like all of us in this scenario, asks,
Who?
and then the flashback ends. Back in the present, outside of Onigashima, we see the last member of CP0 leaving using Moonwalk. And I mean, after what happened to the previous member, I can see why he decides to leave. He doesn't want the smoke. But this CP0 agent yeeting out entails how the government will know of Luffy and the gang's feats, giving them their new bounties. Anyway, we also see Yamato and Momonosuke who are still trying to figure out how to manifest flame clouds. You know, since the first time he was trying hard, then he started trying super hard. This time he's trying super mega hard, okay? He's about to do it. He's about to freaking do it. Inside of Onigashima, the water Raizo and Jinbei spread is going through the entire castle dome, and it's putting out all the fire everywhere. Everyone's saved. Yay, Jinbei and Raizo, the greatest Hokage ever. Let's go. But while all of this is happening, Onigashima is starting to fall as Kaido's flame clouds are disappearing. So Momonosuke has to quickly conjure his own flame clouds and move the island, or it will fall on top of the flower capital. Before we see this though, we transition to Luffy and Kaido, who's trying to deflate Luffy's attack by biting it until it is gone. Kaido, thinking he's going to beat Luffy for the 5th time, asks him one more question. Straw Hat, what kind of world do you wish to make? Luffy states, a world where my friends can eat as much as they like. The way Luffy punched Kaido in this chapter also reminded me of the way Ace punched Kaido's statue during Yamato's flashback in chapter 999. Literally the exact same way and spot. Ace even said it was a warning to Kaido, and now Luffy is enforcing that warning. With that, Luffy screams, that's my kind of world, and sends Kaido flying down so fast that he's leaving a hole through the cloud with the exact same shape as him. You know, this thing about Luffy wanting everyone to have food. It's kind of like Kaido when he was younger. He had to keep getting caught by the Marines just to eat. He himself didn't have food and he had to struggle through being captured by the Marines and even experimented on later on when he got captured after the God Valley incident. So, you know, in a way, Kaido, if he was in Luffy's world, he wouldn't have need to do that. I'm just saying. This punch by Luffy is also a parallel to his punch to the sea creature all the way back in chapter 1. Yes, Luffy is already able to control time. He punched Kaido so badly that he turned back time to the first chapter of One Piece. God damn. If you want to know more about Luffy's time powers, then watch the video on screen right now. I'm not joking. It's a crazy theory. As Luffy declared this powerful statement, Momo finally is able to conjure his flame clouds and moves Onigashima away from the flower capital. We also continue where we left off in Kaido's flashback when King asked him who Joy Boy is. Kaido responds that Joy Boy is the man who'll be able to defeat him one day. But King, not knowing that Kaido isn't the protagonist of the story, says if that's true, then he will never appear. We come back to the present and see one of the wishes from the people in the land of Wano is to make the scary dragon vanish, which Luffy just did. The chapter ends with Momo, who was able to safely land the island of Onigashima, and Luffy falling from the sky. This was a banger chapter. If you guys want to know more about Luffy's time powers and the fact that he is actually a celestial dragon, then click on the video shown on screen right now because it's crazy. Ballsy Production Magic has predicted it. All right.